Place your hands on your lap as we now receive the benevolent messages from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Indeed, right now there is world change. The energies that are here on this planet that might seem to create unrest are those that are different from the other energies that created the same kind of unrest. When the light starts to come on, and that is a metaphor, things start to change in a more permanent way than ever before. And the reason is because solutions that evaded you before are now available. So whereas before you might have had those kinds of disturbances and gatherings and riots that would result in almost no change over the years, and then more riots resulting, suddenly you have the veil lifting so that the solutions to those things, the real beginning solutions, are there. Whether or not the consciousness of the leadership will find them and accept them is called free choice. And that's why you're here, light worker. The series that I've been giving you is the third of 3. And we called it Rewriting Sacred Truths. You might say that one of the sacred truths that you're rewriting is how Spirit sees you, perhaps, or how Spirit then reacts to you, perhaps. Because as the veil lifts, dear ones, answers start flowing in. This is a new time, a new energy. We told you that one of the most sacred truths of all was the one I've been giving you for 31 years. It's not one of the 3. So we place it upon the 3 and call it number 4. Is that confusing to you? And we gave it to you in the first of the 3. We give it to you now in review, and that is you sit in the energy of a loving Creator who does not judge you. That loving Creator is not one that has a human consciousness. That loving Creator is not human. And you cannot put upon that loving Creator the persona of a Father in the sky who judges you. That is number 1. It always has been. It's not part of the 3 we've given you because it is self-evident in this time for you. God is love. God is beautiful. God is not a Father in the sky. It is so much more than that. Loves you beyond measure. There's more. The third of the 3 is, again, one that is hard to understand, might be controversial because of what you learned. What have you learned about the hierarchy of God? And you would say, well, I'm not really sure. Think about it. There are many hierarchies, not only of God, but of the spiritual systems and the behavior you're asked to have that has steps, and also that which is higher than something else. Let's go to the main one. Now I'll give you some information, and you're going to say, well, wait a minute, you're rewriting Scripture. Give me a moment. Here's a statement. There's no such thing as an archangel. What do you mean, Kryon? Archangel, by its name, would say top angel, one in charge, angel in charge of everything. Don't you find it interesting that humanity has decided that the angel in charge is a male? If it isn't any more human than that, show me. Dear ones, the archangel is a myth. It is simply an angel, a beautiful angel with a specific message. You might say, well, wait a minute. We got that from Scripture, Kryon. You can't rewrite Scripture. And I will tell you this. All Scripture, written by humanity, written by men, not the finger of God, by men, under the influence of God, some of it channeled, was done in an older energy. And the best they could say and do and give you was what you would recognize. Humans have always been hierarchical. In every single situation on your planet, there are those in charge. There are the sub ones in charge of those below them and below them. You know what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be the military for there to be a commander. And yet that is not the energy of spirit. There is no commander. There is no in charge. And that is difficult for any one of you who is linear. If you go to that which is the creative source, you will see an equality you did not expect. When everyone knows everything, there does not have to be anyone in charge. Do you understand this? When everyone has the wisdom of profound, perfect leadership, there doesn't have to be anyone in charge. Can you imagine a workforce where everyone knew everything? And then they would do everything automatically, wouldn't they? They wouldn't have to have those passing down the information from those who were marketing and product specialists and all, because everyone would know everything. This is just a tinge of the reality of God. And the way spirit works, it's not a human system. It's not a system. Love is not a system. Compassion is not a system. It's an energy. The creative source of this universe is an energy. It is not a system. So you don't have those in charge of others. Now let's go to the big one. There are so many systems that are sacred, supposedly, on this planet, that you will join in order to worship that which is the creative source in the way you're comfortable, and those systems will have you climbing stairs. They will have you counting beads. They will have you doing this and that and this, so that you can go to a level or a place that is better than you were. You're climbing stairs. These systems also may have what we warned you about in the last channeling, that you've done something wrong or evil has come in and you then have to undo it, or you have to then do something to make your wrong right. And we told you that doesn't exist either. Love has no system. Love has no judgment. Compassion and unconditional love and compassion have nothing like that. And yet there it is for you to see. It's all human, dear one. Climbing the steps and the stairs so that you can come to a place that is better than you were in the love, in the perception of God, is a human concept. Period. We've given you many messages of how God sees you. God sees you as perfect and magnificent right now. As you sit there, were you told that? Or were you told something else? Were you told you were born dirty and don't have a chance? Unless you climb the stairs? Or unless you do something else? Is that the message? Do you think that really is the message from a creative source where you were part of it? Where your soul has God in it? Controversial? Of course. Magnificent? Yes. Freeing? Yes. Understand. This is the beginning of the veil lifting and the knowledge of being able to rewrite things you were told that are now grander than ever. And so it is.
just allow the grandness of that beautiful message from Kryon to wash over you. The beautiful, loving, benevolent energies from Kryon, the grandness of who you are. Let those energies swirl and integrate, and slowly bring your awareness back into the room. Open your eyes, your beautiful eyes, if you've had those eyes closed. And we are so delighted, Lee and I, to be able to bring to you a couple. Isn't that fun, Lee? We get to interview a couple.
They're going to meet my friends.
Yes.
Because we know these people. I know these people. You have just met them.
Yes.
And one of the things I know that you like is one of them is...
Another Aussie.
Another Aussie.
Yay! So we're going to be talking to Paul and Holly Marwood. And Paul and Holly, are you there?
Yes, we are.
Yay! So let's tell everyone about who you are.
Paul and Holly are the co-founders of a next-generation energy modality called, are you ready? The Universal Sphere. Now, they're going to be talking all about that sphere, and you're going to see that, and also we're going to do an exercise. I know that because I know what they're going to do. It's a surprisingly easy thing to learn. It's unlimited in the way it can help you in everyday life. Also, I happen to know that if you want to go to their website, which, by the way, you're going to see because it's advertised all around you and it's on our chat, there's great that none of those things would have occurred. This is absolutely real. That is truly my answer. It's got to be in the evidence of what takes place when you're in love. The evidence of what takes place is that it's often returned. The one who you're in love with feels the same thing again. Even in an animal, you can feel the love returned and all of that, and yet you can't touch and feel it. So there are many things. Then if you enter the science of all of it, a scientist will tell you there is a multidimensional world you cannot see that's as real as the one you can touch and feel. That's now been proven. So you get on board with all of this and you say, well, maybe it is more of a quantum experience, an overused word in my opinion. But yes, that's where we're going. We're going to an experience that is not in 3D, and science says that most of reality is not in 3D. We're already at 11 dimensions, scientifically only live in 4. So this is where we're at with this, and that's truly my answer. Experience it. See what you think. And let it happen, even if you believe that perhaps there is a question of whether it's real. If you allow it to be something in your mind that you say, okay, I'm ready to go there, that's almost like you're giving permission of your consciousness in your body to go to that place, perhaps, that you don't even think exists.
That was such a beautiful answer, Lee. Thank you for sharing your perspective and giving us some beautiful perspectives on what is real and what is not. So let's go to the next question. This is from Lisa. Lisa is in Missouri in the US, and she's asking, is it okay to let our negative feelings out once in a while as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, or should we keep them inside and just keep quiet? What's your response to Lisa?
Lisa, I think you already know the answer. Psychologists would always tell you that keeping them inside is not good for you. It festers and all that. In fact, many of them will say, it's time to go into the closet and let out a primal scream or two. What we teach is that is exactly one of the issues of many, what we learned many years ago from so many modality teachers and so many healers, that a festering anger, for instance, or negative feelings of any kind can turn into disease. So it's not just, it's good for you to let it out. It can shorten your life. So many of the facilitators that we have talk about ways of releasing anger without getting into the closet and doing primal screams that is a lot more sophisticated and makes sense. And their modalities include ceremony. I know that you've studied
yes, there was
some of the biological decoding that does this.
There's symbolic acts as well are very important for our human psyche to process those negative feelings and transmute them. I think that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
To let them out and transmute.
Right. There's a lot better ways. Now, also, I would like to say, Lisa, that you got one thing that I want to repeat to others without hurting anyone. It's like, for instance...
Doesn't that show what a gentle soul she is?
Absolutely. You've got that right.
Even in fostering the question.
You don't then assault somebody verbally and feel better about it.
Actually, any kind of negative feelings,
that's right.
It makes us feel icky.
It does.
And it's because it's a low vibrational consciousness. And it happens to me. I can have negative statements a lot. And part of it is self-compassion for yourself, that you even experience that. I think that's when you start generating compassion for yourself. It's okay to have negative feelings. Have compassion for yourself. It's icky, and yet we have the capacity to transmute that and then step into a higher vibration.
I think
that's
also,
the circle of 12
if I can say, because this is the free program that's going to YouTube, all you YouTubers have seen this over and over and over. And that would be very scathing, negative, angry, horrible comments about something somebody doesn't like, perhaps even this program. And you'll see it there, and you'll realize what has happened. They've just let primal screams out at us, hurtful, unkind. And you have to say, well, I hope you feel better now. But you see it all the time. And there's a lot more elegant ways of doing this rather than that kind of an assault on other people. Not that the esoteric people would do that who would be listening to this program who understand. But you see what I'm saying is that there are some very elegant ways to release negativity and anger that we're teaching.
Beautiful. I hope that helped, Lisa. And your question itself shows what a beautiful, compassionate, loving soul you are. So let's go to the next question, which is Mary from Massachusetts in the US. She's asking, what would the new normal look like according to Kryon? Could you elaborate on this, please? And Mary's saying that the term has been used a lot by different sources, such as Kryon, and even the mass media are picking up on this buzzword of new normal. You want to explain?
Well, Mary, I'd love
further?
to tell you that they all got it from Kryon. They didn't. It occurred to them by itself. However, I think Kryon was one of the first to coin it, and because this comes right out of something at least 3 years old. I forget, you've been with me all these years, and we've been presenting when Kryon started talking about the new normal and giving examples of what it might look like.
It was definitely post-2012. That was our big shift, and that's when we started really hearing from Kryon that 2013 was a year of recalibration, and that emerging out of that recalibration was going to be the new human, the new normal.
Now, Kryon has talked about this so often, so much, and here it comes. One of the things Kryon says is you're going to see it, and you're going to understand it. And now they are. So now you have mass media, journalists, and all by themselves coming with that new name. To me, it's a validation of the shift that is here, because now we're in this new normal. But your question is, what would the new normal look like?
Yes.
That is all over the Kryon books and the new human, the name of Kryon Book 14. Basically, it's a human being who is more compassionate, who is kinder, who reacts different to people and perceptions and all, and it's noticeable. Kryon has talked about this and has given you scenarios of the future. We have an election special on our site that is free, that we did. Now, of course, the election is over, but you can still see it. And he talks about what politics might look like in the new normal, let's say in 10 years. And you get a picture of how different the planet might be. But truly, it's how people react to each other, perceive each other, and a new kind of compassionate action and kindness in humanity. That's what a new normal would look like, which, of course, would then change everything. It would change business, politics, corporate, and the way people work with one another. And this is...
know that we all have a story, and our story determines everything in our lives. We solve our everyday problems based upon the way we think of ourselves. Some of them are big problems, some of them are small problems. Some of them are problems that govern the planet. Some of them are the logistics of getting our kids from point A to point B when traffic won't let us. The way we solve those problems is based upon our story. Every relationship we've ever had in our lives is based upon the way we think about ourselves, the way we heal our bodies, the way we choose our politics, the policies that we embrace in our society, all based on our story. And all of a sudden you begin to see our story. What could be more important? It's not that not only is it not fluff and woo-woo, it is front and center for us right now because we're in a global pandemic to varying degrees and for varying reasons. And we are forced to live our lives differently, to think of ourselves differently, to solve our problems differently, because what we did before simply isn't working for us. And the good news here is that rather than struggle to cling to an old idea and an old story that served us in another time in our lives, but is no longer serving us, rather than clinging to that, we can let it gracefully pass and embrace the new human story that's emerging. And there is a new story. It is a beautiful story of hope and possibility, of self-empowerment and self-regulation of our biology. And it's a very, very different way to think. So what I want to say right now, I know that we all know there's a whole lot going on that we know about. There's a whole lot going on that's not so obvious. It's under the scenes or behind the scenes and underlying what we see. But I think it's no secret that there is a battle that's unfolding in our lives. There's a battle for our thoughts. We all know that. There's a battle for our thoughts playing out in mainstream media, in the curricula in our classrooms. There's a battle for our beliefs. Who are we? Where do we come from? What do we think about 5G? What do we think about climate change? What do we think about chemtrails? There's a battle for all of that, about UFOs and aliens in the skies. There's a battle for our bodies and what it takes to be healthy and what it takes for our babies when they come out of the womb. What do our babies need to be healthy in this world? There's a battle for that. But all of that is the noise. It's the distraction. It's the diversion for an even deeper battle that very few people are talking about. And Leah, Monica, this is what I want to talk about right now. It's a battle for our very humanness. Our very humanness is on the line right now because technology is advancing so quickly within the context of our story. The technology is being imposed upon our biology. The thinking is, and this is only possible because of an underlying thinking that's been around for over 100 years. The thinking is that, that the human body is flawed in its existence, specifically, and that carbon-based life in general is a flawed form of life. And because the thinking says that we are flawed in our existence, that is the justification to create technology outside of our bodies to replace the natural biology that we have within our bodies. And here's the catch. Here's the catch. What the science shows us is that when we begin to replace our neurons and the chemicals in our blood and the crystalline in our bone with artificial materials and components and computer chips and wires, when we begin to make those replacements, our natural biology begins to atrophy. Now, we all know this because we use the adage all the time, use it or lose it. I mean, there's a lot of ways to use that adage, and this is one of them. So what happens is we begin replacing, I'm just going to give an example. We now have the technology to put computer chips into the human brain, to implant them and actually take the dendrites from the neurons and put them into ports on this chip so that we communicate directly with a computer with no keyboard and with no physical connection, no cables. Now, some people say, man, that's cool, or young people say, that's sweet. But here's the thing. Those chips mimic a capability that we already have, that very few people really are aware of, that we only discovered in 2004. We have specialized neurons that have the ability to see something in the world, whether it's on a computer screen, or get this, or whether it's in our mind. Those neurons don't know the difference between seeing and having the experience. So if those neurons, let's take healing, if those neurons are witnessing the healing of a human body, either in a movie or a film or a picture or in the vision of our mind, I'm going to channel. Lee, you're a channel, so I'm going to channel one of those neurons just for a minute. So here's the neuron. The neuron says, I'm seeing a healing. Oh, I better get with the program and start creating the chemicals in my body so I can support the healing that I am seeing, because I don't know the difference between witnessing and living what's happening. All right, so we have those neurons, and they were just beginning to understand what they mean and how powerful they are and how they can be used. And that's one example. We just discovered a new class of stem cells that are with us until we take our last breath on this planet. When I was in school, I was taught we get stem cells at birth and they atrophy over life, and pretty soon you don't have access to your stem cells. We're just beginning to understand that is not necessarily the case. So I'm not against technology, and I'm not advocating that we do one thing or another. What I'm saying very clearly is this: we are at a critical crossroad in our evolution, the crossroad where biology and technology are coming together. It's going to happen. We can't stop it, but we can guide and direct where this is going. And the question is, how much of ourselves do we give away to the technology? How much of ourselves do we compromise? How much of our humanness are we willing to compromise to the technology? Because once it atrophies in our lifetime, the next generation, the body says, oh, that's a vestige from another time. We don't need to do that anymore. And pretty soon we lose the very essence of what gives us our humanness, our ability to emote, our ability to reproduce through intimate human relationships, our ability to create within us a robust immune response is a beautiful example. All of these things begin to atrophy, and we become very, very different species. So the question is, how much of ourselves do we want to give away? The answer is that we cannot answer that question until we know who we are, until we know what we're giving away. And that's the invitation to embrace the new human story, to embrace the new discoveries of the new science that are overturning 150 years of the limitations that we have been taught to accept in the past. And I think it would be an important conversation anytime, Leah and Monica, but it's up for us right now. COVID is a launch pad. It's a catalyst for bringing these technologies into our lives at an accelerated pace. So what I'm talking about, it's not like we can put that on the back burner and say, it's going to take 10 years for this to happen. It's not. It's happening now. Some societies are accepting the technologies faster than others, and all of this comes back to this way of thinking. And I've talked to advocates of this way of thinking, and what they say is this: because the human body, humanness is flawed. Think how much better our lives and our world would be if we can replace the uncertainty of neurons and cells and bones and blood with the certainty of computer chips and components. What if we can replace the messiness of intimate human relationships where people disagree and they fight? They say that's a distraction. It keeps us from advancing in the sciences and in these technological ways. Well, they say, what if we can engineer our births? Because we now have the ability to go into the womb of a living woman after conception and engineer the DNA to select the traits. Fast twitch muscles for athletic performance or slow twitch muscles. Different parts of the brain stimulated to increase IQ, or changing hair color or eye color or skin color. They say, why take the chance on birth defects? Why take the chance on the health problems, when we can engineer this, think of what a great world this would be. So the question becomes very clearly, who decides what the desirable traits are? Who decides what's good? I mean, we have like some panel sitting around a table somewhere saying, you know, I vote for this color skin and this color hair. And diversity is our strength, and we stand to lose that diversity. So this is up for us all right now. And actually in some Asian societies where, and partially due to COVID, but even before COVID was happening, intimate human relationships, and I'm talking about sexual human relationships, were being replaced through software apps and remote controlled devices to satisfy the sexual urge without the intimacy and the messiness of human interaction. And what's happening in those societies is the birth rate is dropping, sperm counts are dropping, fertility rate in women is decreasing, more people are dying than are being born. I'm sorry, more people are dying. The birth rate has dropped so low that people they are losing their population. And it's not 100% because of the technology, but the technology is playing a role. And it's like a canary in the coal mine saying, this is a heads up. We need to really check this out. Now, what I'm talking about may sound esoteric, but Elon Musk just brought this front and center recently when he did a very compelling interview. And I'm not an anti-Elon Musk fan at all. He's young. He's visionary, he's wealthy, he's pushing the boundaries of everything we believe about technology until something pushes back. And this is what he said. He said for the first time, he is concerned about where the technology is leading in general, specifically artificial intelligence. He said he is afraid. He looked at the camera and he said, I'm afraid of where this is going. He said, as a CEO, I have to empower my people to push forward as fast as they can to keep the market share and to stay ahead of my competitors. But he said, I'm pleading not just my company, this entire industry, we need to reel it in. We need to pull it back. We need to regulate it because he says, I'm afraid of where the artificial intelligence is headed, and it's going to happen fast. And that was a heads up for a lot of people who've never heard Elon Musk say anything like that before, because they didn't know this is happening. They said, what is he talking about? What's going on that is happening so quickly? So I think this is really important. And I'm just going to I'm not sure how I did on time because I lost track of my timer. But where this comes down, Leah and Monica, you know, we're talking about broad brushstrokes. And this sounds like big stuff, and people say, man, what could I possibly do about that? And here's where I'm coming from with this whole conversation. All of this boils down to human values. There's a new world that's emerging post-COVID. It's not quite here yet. We're creating that world now, and I can't possibly know, nobody can, precisely what that world's going to look like. Technology is definitely going to play a big role. We can't predict with absolute certainty what's going to happen, but here's what we can do with absolute certainty. We can choose the human values that we cherish as individuals, as families, as communities, as societies, as nations, as a species. We can choose those values and make them very clearly the foundation. Make them the foundation of every choice moving forward, every law that's enacted, every policy that's embraced. Make them the yardstick by which we gauge our elected officials. Will they support these? The corporations that we support through our purchases and our money, where do these people and entities stack up when it comes to these fundamental human values? And they can be as simple as life itself, or freedom, or creativity and imagination, or community. And there's so many more. But it's these values that become the foundation of everything that we do. And it's these values that make it a priority for all of the good news that I began with to be embraced in our world. because when these values become front and center, then those good news solutions, they become the go-to solutions. It makes perfect sense to go to those because those solutions match the values that we've embraced. Whereas now, it's like we're playing whack-a-mole. We've got these old values and we're doing these one-offs. We're trying to impose one solution here for climate change, another solution there for the economy, and people push back because it doesn't make sense. So if we start with the foundation of the values, I think this is the opportunity that's at hand for us right now, and it's something that we all participate in because it begins right in our living room. So I'm going to pause there for a moment. I'm not sure how we did on time, and I'll turn it over to you, Leah and Monica, and see where we go from here.
I think it's a beautiful conversation of everything you've brought up, completely with what you finished with. And for me, part of what I was feeling into the conversation is that our solutions have always been there within the wisdom keepers of the Indigenous. And I mention this because you yourself have spent so much time with the shamans and ancient traditions, and you are completely right that wisdom and that knowledge, the connection they have with the planet, the way they have and retain information is part of the tools and gifts that we are going to need as part of this emerging new world.
Greg, I want to ask you, you did your timing perfectly, just in the minute and a half or so. People are going to say, where can I hear more? Where is Greg speaking? Are there courses? Are there classes? Are there TV programs? Where can they find them?
Well, thank you, Lee and Monica. I'm not doing many live events right now. We had planned to, and we hope to be able to begin those again. But let me just invite you, just go to my website, www.gregbraden, it's Greg with two G's, Gregg, Braden, Braden.com. You'll see all the books, all the languages the books are published in, any events that we have, either virtual or live. And Leah, Monica, thank you for your care and for allowing me the opportunity to just share what's important for me right now and what I think is important for all of us. And I want to thank you both for the work that you have very ingeniously found a way not only continue, but to excel at doing through forums like this, to keep our community tight, to keep our community informed, to keep our family together through this pivotal change, and this once in a civilizational change is where we are right now, and we look to you for that guidance and support.
And you're going to understand them. For many, many years, there have been many belief systems on this planet that have been reading the field. And what they've been reading is the potential of the shift. All of the indigenous on this planet, all of them had some kind of inkling about that which is cyclical with the planet. Cyclical with the planet. It happens in cycles, and part of the cycles come from that which is the wobble of the earth, the position of the stars. The indigenous saw that. The prophecies of 2012. The precession of the equinox was seen clearly by many, many indigenous in their cycles. And how they interpreted it was very interesting. All the way to your modern religions, they interpreted it because it was in the field. And what they told you was this, that the masters of old, some specific, some not, would be coming back to this earth. Some very linear things giving you about the turn of that into the year 2000 and beyond, and that trumpet would sound and people would disappear and they would come and there would be peace on earth and a different consciousness would reign. That didn't happen, dear ones. You said 21 years later from when it was seen, it didn't happen. But what is happening is a new normal, a change of consciousness, a kindness, a compassion, a cleanup. All of the things that they talked about in a linear fashion are happening differently. Do you see that? They were right. Oh, you say, but they weren't right because that master didn't return. Oh, really? What if that also was a metaphor? What if we have the masters of the planet entering the field of the consciousness, all of that? What if they're back, but they didn't come in robes and linears and blowing trumpets? Do you see what I'm saying? I'll give you number 2. For years, there have been predictions of a complete and total utter failure of your stock market in America. They say these are systemic issues. They're going to fall. You cannot change it enough because it's systemic. The very system is broken. Therefore, I'm going to write this book and that book, and I'm an expert of stock markets, and it's going to crash and all of these things. And I'll tell you, it's way past its expiration point. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. But what did was COVID, which stopped the planet. It stopped transactions. It changed the way people buy and sell at a systemic level. It changed the stock market. It changed banking. In other words, what if everything they saw in a linear fashion as a complete collapse was simply what you are going through right now? And they couldn't interpret it any other way than a collapse. And instead, you get a recalibration as the world stops and recalibrates and starts again. That's what it looked like to them. I am telling you this for a reason, because you're going to hear all manner of predictions. And some of them are continuing with doom and gloom. Since my partner was born, he has had doom and gloom predictions, and none of them occurred because they were misread. This is a channel that says that things are not always as they seem. Things in the field that some of you are sensing may not be exactly what's going to happen. It starts to explain why some prophecies simply fall on their face. They don't happen in the manner that they are given to you in a linear fashion. But when you look around, you see the results as though they did. You see what I'm saying? Your future is different from anyone's vision. It's grander. It's beautiful. And the field is going to start to give you information about what's coming. Metaphorically. Beautiful, dear ones, it is. Be wise in these things when people tell you things that they're sensing or predicting. Be understanding of this message in this channel more than you think, different, and perhaps even a little more benevolent than you think it could be. And so it is.
And slowly, very gently, bring your awareness back into your body. If you've had your eyes closed, you may open your eyes. Bring your awareness to be more fully present in this moment. And you may wish to loosen your shoulders, relax your body. And Lee and I have been so excited all day. We've been waiting all day for this moment where we have our very good friend, Greg Braden, joining us.
We even came in early.
We've been sitting here going,
yeah, we have.
So, Greg, are you there?
I am here. If you can hear me and see me.
Yes, we can.
We can indeed.
Yay.
It's so good to see both of you. I have to say, the lockdown really agrees with you. You both look, I hope you feel as good as you look on this screen right now.
We do, indeed we do.
We do, and right back at you.
Yeah, I'll say.
I am coming to you today from a studio, a film studio just outside of Santa Fe, where we're doing some recordings for a program on ancient civilizations, and that's why you're seeing what you're seeing behind me. And we're completely unscripted. I am really happy to be with your your community and with you today. And I'm just going to follow your lead, and let's see where we go with this today.
Well, I want to tell people just a little bit about you. To Greg, when you say Greg Braden, to most people, they know exactly who we're talking about, and I've mentioned Greg on the show many times. I want to read the bio, and this is what we call a short bio. It's very important that you understand the profundity of this man, my friend. Greg Braden is a 5-time New York Times best-selling author. Now, just right there, you've probably heard many people are best-selling this or that. This is a 5-time New York Times best-selling author, scientist, international educator, renowned as a pioneer in the emerging paradigm based in science, social policy, and human potential. From 79 to 91, Greg worked as a problem solver during times of crisis for Fortune 500 companies, including Cisco Systems, where he became the first technical operation manager in 1991. He continues problem solving even today as his work reveals deep insights into the new human story and how the discoveries inform the policies of everyday life and the emerging world. To date, are you ready for this? His research has led him to 15 film credits, 12 award-winning books now published in over 40 languages.
And most people probably know Greg from the Gaia TV.
Yeah, that's right.
Among so many other
Yes.
things. Now, Greg's the proud recipient of numerous awards, including the Walden Award for New Thought, the Illuminate Award for Conscious Visionaries, and he's listed in UK's Watkins Mind, Body, Spirit magazine as among the top 100 of the world's most spiritually influential living people for the 7th consecutive year. He's a nominee for the prestigious Templeton Award, which was established to honour outstanding living individuals who have devoted their talents to expanding our vision of human purpose and ultimate reality. I can't think of anyone who suits that description more than Greg Braden.
That's right.
Now, Greg's also, if that wasn't enough, he's also involved in visionary organisations and think tanks, including the American Association for the Advancement of Science, the Evolutionary Leadership Organisation, the Laszlo Institute of New Paradigm Research, and the Arlington Institute.
He has presented his discoveries in over 30 countries on 6 continents, has been invited to speak to the United Nations, Fortune 500 companies, and, of course, the U.S. military. I always want to put that one in. Greg speaks to a lot more than even he can say in his bio. I know this. Good friend of mine, sought after for his wisdom and what he knows and what is going on the planet today. Greg, thank you so much for being here.
Wow. Well, thank you all for such a beautiful, warm welcome. And Lee, I'm honored to share the Watkins list with you. I don't know what numbers we are these days, but I know we're both on there.
I was 99. I was 99 for a long time.
But you're still there.
I think I squeak in. You know, they're just looking for it. We'll include him.
No, you're still there, Lee, and you have touched the lives. I've witnessed you touch the lives of thousands of people in one day. The largest audiences I've ever spoken to in the world were with you when you and I toured in some beautiful European cities back in the early 2000s, I think is when it was. So thank you for that. And the really good news is one of the requirements of those awards is they be giving to living people.
That's right.
So that's the affirmation. I am a living person, and that's what juices me to get out of bed in the morning. So it's really good to be with you, and I'm honored to share. This is the first time in this program, in this venue, in this new world that's emerging, and I love this set, the venue where we're speaking at today. And Lee, let me just ask you, what is the best way that we can honor the time we have together for me, and I can serve you and your community? What direction do you think would be the best way that we could go today?
I've heard you speak many, many times, and there's such a plethora of things that you are an expert at and can explain. Whatever you want to tell a crowd in 20 or 25 minutes at the moment of what's happening now or how you feel about certain kinds of things or what you want them to know would be the very best. We'll just turn you loose with that and then comment as you choose.
Well, thank you for that. And what I'd like to do, I'd like to start out with good news. I think we We all are yearning for good news today. I was doing an interview just before COVID in 2019. You know, we're going to do this now. The world will always be before and after COVID. So just before COVID, I was doing an interview. And the interviewer, very thoughtfully, it was a young man, really enthusiastic, just wants the best for the world. And he said to me, Greg, he said, why don't you use your influence and the influence of the people that you present with, all of these amazing authors and speakers and scientists and researchers, and gather all the people in the world together into one room that have the influence, the scientists, the engineers, the religious leaders, the spiritual leaders, the social architects, I think I said, and the political leaders, and solve the problems, figure this stuff out. And he was surprised by my answer, because I said, that's a really good idea. It's so good, in fact, it's already been done. And it was done a long time ago. And in the 1960s and 70s, these meetings were happening. And the outcome of these meetings is that it's the source of my good news. We have all the solutions to the big problems in the world, the technological solutions. So let me just back that up and share a little bit about why I'm saying this. We already have all the food we need to feed every mouth of every woman, man, and child on the face of the earth today, yet people are still dying of starvation. It's not for the lack of food. It's because it is yet to become a priority in our thinking. Maybe not you and me in this community, but in general, we don't have the leadership that makes this a priority to get things done. And when I say leadership, I'm not talking about any one particular leader. It's not about the leader of a country like America or France or, European or African. It's about a perception. It's a way of thinking that has yet to value human life to the degree that the feeding of every human on the face of the earth can become a priority. So we already have that. We already have the technology to create clean, green, sustainable electricity with zero fossil fuels, zero greenhouse gases, in a way that cannot melt down like a Fukushima reactor, and with materials that are abundant on all continents and cannot be weaponized to hurt our brothers and sisters. We've had that for over 70 years. We've had that technology. We already know how to create businesses, economic models. Now listen to this, based upon cooperation and sharing rather than scarcity and competition. You think about that, our entire economic model is based on somebody's got something, somebody else doesn't, they want it, and that is what drives that model. We're talking about sharing and abundance. Every organ in the human body is now documented with the ability to heal itself, to repair the damage, to reverse the aging process. Even the organs and tissues we were told could not, like brain tissue, pancreatic tissue, spinal cord tissue. We have this and so much more. And when I share this good news, Lee and Monica, when I share it with our live audiences, the first thing people ask me is, if we have this, where is it? And it's probably what's coming up for our viewers right now. Where are these things? And the answer to that question is what I want to talk about today. Because the answer is, it is all based upon the way we've been taught to think about ourselves, our relationship to one another, our relationship to the earth, to the cosmos, to the future, to the past, to a higher power. It's all based upon what's called our story. And when people hear the word story, for a lot of them it sounds kind of fluffy, kind of woo-woo, but I just want people to know that we all have a story. And our story determines everything in our lives. We solve our everyday problems based upon the way we think of ourselves. Some of them are big problems, some of them are small problems.